All right, time now for a look at today's business news with Stephen Carroll. Stephen, beginning with Google's parent company, which is appealing a massive fine from the European Commission.
Yeah, that's right. Alphabet was fined 4.3 billion euros in July for what the EU says is abusing its dominant position in the mobile operating system market. Now, the company has finally lodged an appeal of that decision ahead of a deadline at the end of this month to stop the anti-competitive behaviour or risk further fines. The European Commission had ordered Google to stop making phone manufacturers pre-install its search app and Chrome browser. That, the ruling says, broke EU competition rules. Now, Alphabet hasn't given details on the grounds for its appeal, pointing to a blog post published after the decision in which it says that Android has helped to boost competition among phone manufacturers and that the Commission ignored evidence about how people were using their phones.
Well, EU ministers have agreed to new emission limits for cars.
This compromise agreement will see a 35% reduction in CO2 emissions on new cars by 2030. Germany, home to some of Europe's biggest car makers, had resisted a greater cut that was being pushed for by other member states. The agreement will also create a credit system to encourage car makers to boost sales of electric cars.
And the IMF has warned that global debt has reached record levels.
It totals more than $182 trillion in 2017. That's 50% higher than at the start of the financial crisis. The IMF says better management of public assets could add as much as 3% to GDP. The International Monetary Fund and the World Bank are holding their autumn meetings in Bali this week. The organisations have again sounded the alarm over the danger that trade barriers pose to the global economy.
It's tempting to be a bit depressed about this perspective. I am actually hopeful because there is a clear appetite to improve and expand trade. Think of the flurry of welcome discussions and proposals to strengthen the WTO, or think of all the new trade deals such as TPP 11, the Regional African Trade Agreement, and the progress made on the US-Mexico-Canada deal.
Well, here in France, while we wait for details of a cabinet reshuffle, President Macron has been speaking to entrepreneurs at the Station F startup hub in Paris. He told them that he won't be introducing any more tax advantages to boost investment, pointing to changes to the wealth and dividend taxes that were designed to stimulate that. But the president did announce a simplification of rules around hiring staff from abroad for technology firms. Well, I'm joined in studio now by Lucien Besse, the co-founder and chief operating officer of Shippeo, a company that allows logistics firms to track where their deliveries are at any time. You've also just been awarded the Ivy Award for Leadership in Technology, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this morning. What's your assessment been of President Macron's policies when it comes to companies like yours? Is it making it easier for you to do business?
Yeah, I think the first thing to say that France didn't wait for Emmanuel Macron to be a very attractive place to create its own company. So, I mean, it's been 10 or 15 years that it's quite easy to create a company in France. I mean, you have a lot of advantages, tax advantages, social advantages to create a company in France. So, I mean, of course, Emmanuel Macron is doing a lot. He's doing a lot of advertising on the fact that it's easy to create a company. It's good because it's attracting new funds. In France, it's also becoming more easy to hire new people in the company. And there's a lot of money coming from the French government, a lot of grants since Emmanuel Macron has come to power. So it's really good, but France has always been a quite attractive country to start this company, actually.
Well, you've been able to raise 12 million euros in funding so far. One of the things that he was trying to work on by changing the wealth tax, putting in the flat tax on dividends, is helping people to have more money to invest. Are you seeing that landscape changing, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's same answer. I mean, there's a lot of money in terms of venture capital available in the markets. It's not only related to France. I mean, there's a lot of money in Europe in the venture capital economy. So, I mean, of course, Emmanuel Macron is doing a lot to attract new investors. But when you look at investment funds, there is billions or trillions to invest already in France. So, he's doing a lot. A lot of money is coming into the country, which is good for other investments, not only startups. But for startups, there's a lot of money available in the market. So it was not, let's say, a big issue to find money. You need to find good investors, which is another issue. But of course, he's doing a lot for that. Yeah.
And tell us about the journey that you've had with Shippeo. 2014, you started. You've got over 55 employees now. How did the company get started?
Yeah, we're actually close to 70 right now, so it's growing quite fast. Yeah, we started the company in 2014 with a very simple approach. I mean, when we look at the logistics space today, we made a very simple consultation because it's super easy when you're delivering something or ordering something from Amazon or from an e-commerce website to have a quite good level of service when it comes to following your delivery. But when you are a retail or manufacturing company, when you are receiving hundreds of trucks or thousands of trucks to your logistics warehouses every day, it's a complete black box. So what we try to do since the beginning of the company is to bring the same level of visibility for the B2B deliveries based on what you can have on the B2C market. So I mean, the need was here. Visibility is a big topic in supply chain. So we want to tackle this topic quite fast in Europe.
Is Brexit going to impact your business at all?
Not really. Actually, Brexit is going to have a lot of impact over the trucking industry. You know, we are missing a lot of truck drivers now in Europe. That's a quite big issue. So there's going to be a lot of drivers missing in Europe in the next months and next year. So Brexit is going to affect that somehow, but for our business particularly, it's not going to have a huge impact actually. Yeah.
Okay, Lucien Besse from Shippeo, thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Stephen, we saw a little bit of volatility on the markets yesterday in the US. How are things looking today?
A little bit calmer in Asian markets trading today. We had Chinese shares down earlier on in trading, trade worries back playing into investors' minds, but we've seen things turn around as the day has gone on. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong now up by 0.75%. The Kospi and Seoul back in business today, but in the red, down 0.9%. On the currency markets, the euro buying $1.15 and just under 88 pence sterling. Of course, Brexit weighing on that too.
All right, Stephen, thank you very much. Stephen Carroll with the roundup of the business news. He'll be back a little bit later on in the day as well.